I predicted that he was going to jail before they took him. But anyway, he ain't gonna live. I'd be surprised if he lived past the end of September, because he is a dead man walking.
Kid Cudi, he got on the stand saying he recounted the break-in at his homes by calling subsequent firebombing of his car. And he didn't put no gasoline on that car, just trust and believe that. It was baby oil. He baby oiled the shit that car, threw some mattress at it. Poof, it went up in flames and shit. I don't know if Usher's gonna take her in like Diddy took him in when he was just a child.
Diddy's parties were never just parties. They were events. Lavish, exclusive, and always packed with A-listers. But what most people didn't see was what happened once the lights dimmed and the cameras stopped flashing. According to Eddie Griffin, these weren't your typical celebrity get-togethers. He claims they were more like auditions.
It's another freak off. A freak off. No, they were fucking. How about that? A freak off. It was a session. So now, the bitch had to suck. She had to take it in the ass. She had to drink piss. And 10 years of that. And everybody saying it's Diddy's fault?
Griffin paints a picture of parties where stars were being watched. Closely. Not just by guests, but by hidden cameras. He suggests Diddy had a habit of recording everything. Who came, who left, who did what. And he wasn't shy about allegedly using that footage to his advantage. It wasn't just random speculation either. Griffin said he noticed how young, up-and-coming artists or comedians would be invited. But once inside, they'd quickly realize it wasn't all glitz and glam. Some were allegedly coerced into situations they didn't expect. Intimate settings, strange setups, and a sense of being tested. If you played along, doors opened. If you didn't, you might never get another invite. He even said that these parties operated almost like a system. Pull someone in, get them comfortable, then test their limits. All while someone was possibly watching from behind the scenes. And who else was present? According to Griffin, familiar faces kept showing up. JayZ, Kevin Hart, even folks like Tyler Perry. Some were regulars, while others seemed more cautious. But he suggests the overlap was too consistent to ignore. And with Diddy allegedly holding all the footage, it made people think twice about speaking up.
I think Lil Rod was trying to save face on certain things, that he had somewhat of a relationship, or he was doing some things with Diddy that he didn't want to really come out in that fashion.
Rodney Lil Rod Jones wasn't just some guy holding a camera. He was the eyes behind the scenes at Diddy's private events. As Diddy's trusted videographer, Rodney had access few others did. But according to his lawsuit and statements, he wasn't just filming for fun or for party recaps. He was documenting evidence. Hidden cameras weren't just used for security. They were reportedly placed to capture exactly who was doing what and with whom. Rodney says these weren't your average celebrity party clips. He alleges that guests were often unaware they were being recorded, especially in private rooms or intimate gatherings. We're talking powerful figures, executives, artists, actors, caught on tape in compromising or suspicious situations. And these tapes, he claims, were controlled by Diddy himself. What's even more unsettling is that Rodney didn't just stumble on this. He says he was instructed to do it. He was told where to point the camera, when to keep it rolling, and what moments not to miss. It paints a picture of parties that weren't just wild. They were strategic. Setups, secrets, and surveillance. Rodney eventually became uncomfortable with what he was seeing. In his lawsuit, he talks about being forced to film Diddy in situations that crossed legal and ethical lines. Not just parties, but incidents of abuse, coercion, and more. He also claims that when he pushed back or expressed concern, he was threatened, physically, intimidated into silence. That's how deep it went. But the videos? They didn't disappear. Rodney says the footage was kept, organized, and possibly even used as leverage. Maybe to keep people in line, maybe to protect Diddy, or maybe to control the narrative.
Ron, any comments? Any comments on the trial so far?
We got to see
the opening statements?
He's having his day.
He's having his day?
He's having his day. We trust the justice system.
Thank you, sir.
God is good.
And it wasn't just musicians or models walking through those doors. Hollywood's elite were getting involved too, including a media mogul who whose name sparks both praise and protest, Tyler Perry.
Rumor that have been going on about my relationship status, let me make it clear to you all. I'm not gay. For those of you spreading rumor Jalla Bekele because you find out I'm gay, that's a big lie.
Because I saw you at a Diddy party, Tyler. And you were having a glorious time.
And if you must know, we're still working together, so enough with the rumor. And if you have interest in me to figure out I'm straight, kindly text me directly, and I'll make out time to reply thank you.
I need him to tell me what happened to my friends. And I don't care how long it's been since I talked to them. They will always be my friends. Always. Tim and Durrett and Lamont Rucker were not the same after they went on camera with Tyler Perry. Christian, I think you can tell me why.
Tyler Perry's rise is one of the most well-known success stories in entertainment. From homelessness to billion-dollar studios, his journey has inspired millions. But what's not talked about as often is who helped fund those early steps. Some reports suggest that Diddy's team had a hand in supporting Perry's initial movie premieres, helping get him in the room with distributors, marketing insiders, and major investors. Now, was that generosity, business, or something else? That's where opinions start to split. While Perry has credited his faith and work ethic for his success, others point out the relationships behind the scenes. Aligning with someone like Diddy, especially if you were a rising star, could mean fast-tracking your way into Hollywood's inner circles. But at what cost? Critics have long called out Perry's work for leaning heavily on stereotypes, especially when it comes to Black characters. From the loud, gun-toting Medea to the hyper-dramatic struggles in his TV dramas, some say Perry's content feeds into old, damaging ideas instead of breaking them. And that criticism gets sharper when people start connecting the dots between who funded what and why. Was Perry encouraged to lean into those tropes because they were profitable? Or because they made him more acceptable to certain backers? Either way, his connection to Diddy adds a new layer to the conversation, especially when you consider how tightly controlled Diddy's circle was. Perry was allowed in early, and he thrived, but some say that success came with trade-offs that still echo in his work today. And he's not the only comedian-turned-icon who entered the industry through Diddy's doorways. Next up, Ricky Smiley.
My goal is to wake up and try to have a great relationship with all of my colleagues. All. That's just the way the world works. That's just the way life is. You're not going to be able to have a relationship with everybody. But I have a relationship with people who I need to have a relationship.
Ricky Smiley is best known today as a radio host, actor, and comedian. But his early brush with fame reportedly included stops at Diddy's Atlanta parties, exclusive gatherings that weren't just about fun. According to people close to the scene, these events were more like training grounds. You didn't just show up, you learned how the industry worked, who to talk to, what to say, and when to play along. Smiley reportedly used these opportunities to build connections with label heads, TV producers, and comedy veterans. But it was not smooth sailing. Over time, rumors started to swirl, mainly about how he navigated those relationships and what it took to stay in favor with the right people. Some of the talk has centered on his personal relationships. There have been quiet accusations of mistreatment and unprofessional behavior. Nothing that ever broke headlines, but enough to leave a trail of questions. And with his name coming up alongside others connected to Diddy's scene, it makes people wonder just how much those early experiences shaped his career path. Smiley never publicly confirmed or denied his ties to those controversial moments, but insiders say he was definitely around, learning, watching, and maybe playing the game better than most. But not all the connections were secret. Some were sealed with a handshake at high-profile galas, attended by names like Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer.
Steve Harvey also has a very inappropriate relationship with the diddler. And the truth is, a lot of these older men push their daughters to hook up with their celebrity friends so that they can keep the favor machine going. How do you share with your daughter? Like they share that experience now? This nigga's wild.
Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer, two of the most respected names in comedy. On the surface, they've built careers around laughter, family values, and clean entertainment. But behind the scenes, things weren't always so simple. Steve Harvey's public image has been through ups and downs. He once voiced support for Bill Cosby during the height of Cosby's legal troubles, a move that earned him both backlash and questions about his loyalty. Then came the messy allegations involving his ex-wife, including accusations of emotional distress and mismanagement. While Harvey has denied wrongdoing, the lawsuits and headlines chipped away at the polished image he worked hard to build. Then there's Cedric. He's been more reserved in the public eye, choosing silence over statements. But not everyone's kept quiet about him. Cat Williams, in a viral interview, directly accused Cedric of stealing one of his best-known jokes, an accusation that stung, especially coming from another Black comedian. Cedric denied the claim, but the clip circulated widely, stirring up questions about respect and originality in the comedy world. What connects them both to this deeper story is where they showed up. Both Harvey and Cedric were seen attending high-profile charity galas, many of which were hosted or sponsored by Bad Boy Entertainment. These weren't just red carpet events. They were places where deals were made, alliances were formed, and influence was passed around like champagne. But when pressure started building around Diddy, especially after lawsuits and testimonies began to surface, Steve Harvey started to shift. He stopped appearing at certain events, pulled back from previous connections, and focused more on his religious rebranding. Cedric, on the other hand, didn't distance himself or defend anyone. He just stayed quiet. That silence, while less controversial, left people wondering, what did he know and when did he know it? While the comedians kept their lips sealed, even spiritual leaders weren't far from the fray. Bishop T.D. Jakes preached at Diddy-sponsored gospel concerts and now finds himself battling a defamation lawsuit and waves of online misinformation. Bishop T.D. Jakes has long been considered one of the most influential religious voices in the country. His sermons reach millions, his conferences sell out arenas, and his media appearances span from Oprah's couch to Diddy's stage. That's right, Jakes reportedly took part in gospel events and faith-based initiatives that were backed by Diddy's companies. One of the most notable events was the Bad Boy Family Reunion Gospel Brunch, where faith met fame under one luxurious roof. Jakes didn't just show up. He preached, shared messages of empowerment, and connected spiritual themes with celebrity appeal. At the time, it seemed like a powerful blend, bridging the church with the culture. But now, as allegations against Diddy grow louder, the associations are being re-examined. Some critics question whether religious leaders like Jakes gave credibility to environments that were anything but holy behind the scenes. Jakes is also currently dealing with legal battles of his own, including a defamation lawsuit. And while much of the online chatter surrounding him is unverified, it hasn't stopped people from drawing lines between him and some of the celebrity circles he's been connected to, Diddy included. Still, Jakes hasn't made any statements about those past collaborations. Whether out of loyalty, caution, or legal strategy, he's chosen to let the headlines roll without direct comment. While Jakes fights to protect his name, other celebrities like Kevin Hart might have gotten their big breaks only after passing through Diddy's inner circle.
To actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes, because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the f*** did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this with me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid.
Kevin Hart is one of the biggest names in comedy today. But his path to superstardom wasn't just about talent. It was about timing, exposure, and, if rumors are to be believed, connections to powerful gatekeepers. It's been whispered in entertainment circles that Diddy had early influence over which of Hart's film projects got greenlit. Not necessarily as a producer or direct investor, but as a behind-the-scenes player with access to studios, execs, and the kind of social capital that can make or break careers. According to those close to the scene, Hart was present at more than a few Diddy-hosted parties early in his rise. These weren't just networking mixers. They were exclusive events where deals were hinted at and expectations were quietly set. If Diddy did help boost Hart's visibility, it adds weight to the bigger question: what did stars have to trade in order to move up the ladder? Was it loyalty, silence, compliance? It's also worth noting that Kevin Hart has had his own controversies, from cheating scandals to canceled gigs over past jokes. While none of that directly ties back to Diddy, it fuels the broader theory that rising through certain Hollywood doors often means looking the other way. But no case is as disturbing as the one tying Diddy and JayZ to an MTV afterparty back in 2000.
Feeling good? Whoa, you put that thing on the wall. You see how we do it here on Saturday. This is what it's missing. You see how we do it here on Saturday. This is what it's missing.
JayZ, hip-hop's first billionaire, business mogul, and longtime friend of Diddy. For years, they were seen as two kings of culture, often sharing stages, parties, and investment deals. But now, their partnership is under heavy scrutiny. A woman identified only as Jane Doe has filed a lawsuit accusing both Diddy and JayZ of something deeply disturbing, allegedly assaulting her when she was just 13 years old. The claims are shocking. According to the suit, she was and abused at a high-profile afterparty connected to MTV back in the early 2000s. And while the spotlight has mostly been on Diddy, JayZ's name appearing in that filing has raised serious questions. JayZ's response? He says it's a blackmail attempt. Through his legal team, he's denied all involvement and insists the claims are baseless. But as more lawsuits stack up around Diddy, the public is less quick to dismiss the accusations, especially when big names keep surfacing. What's more telling is the shift in JayZ's behavior. Sources say he's begun quietly distancing himself from Diddy. No more public appearances together, no cosigns, no business collabs. The energy has changed. And while JayZ hasn't been criminally charged, the damage to his brand is already unfolding. He's known for curating an image of control, elegance, and strategy. But now that image is under pressure. He's in cleanup mode, ready to protect what he's built, even if it means stepping away from someone he once called a brother. And now, the bromance between the billionaire moguls appears fractured, with JayZ ready to clear his name, whatever it takes.
2020, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire.
But as one empire trembles, another is being tested from within. Diddy's own son, Justin Combs, is now part of the conversation. And not in a good way. Justin was once known as the golden child, athlete, influencer, partygoer. But the image of a squeaky clean celebrity kid started to fade as reports rolled in. He's been banned from luxury Airbnb-style rentals after repeated complaints of damage, noise, and out-of-control partying. And that's just the start. He's also been named in lawsuits, some tied to human trafficking and illegal surveillance. One lawsuit claims he played a role in helping maintain an environment where abuse could happen unchecked. Others suggest he used his access and privilege without thinking about the consequences. Whether knowingly involved or just recklessly present, his name keeps appearing where it shouldn't. The troubling part is that Justin seemed to follow in his father's footsteps, not just with the fame, but with the dark habits attached to it. Some say he grew up in an atmosphere where these things weren't just tolerated, they were normalized. And now, as lawsuits close in on the bad boy empire, Justin is facing legal battles of his own. He hasn't publicly commented on most of the claims. No statements, no interviews, just silence, and a growing list of red flags. And those lawsuits? They're full of names you wouldn't expect, like Kenna Harper, a former Diddy Dirty Money artist, who has become a key witness.
New revelations show that after Don Richard filed her lawsuit against Diddy, he allegedly bombarded his former bandmate Kenna Harper with over 50 calls in one day and reached out a total of 128 times over 4 days. Prosecutors say that these calls were attempts to sway her testimony, part of a broader pattern of trying to gaslight and manipulate witnesses. Can you blame Kenna for distancing herself from the situation? She came under fire for posting that Richard's claims did not align with her experience, and some people criticized her for what it seemed like defending Diddy.
Kenna Harper isn't a household name, but behind the scenes, she's been connected to some of Diddy's biggest projects. As a member of Dirty Money, she was part of the late 2000s era that mixed R&B with fashion, glamour, and nightlife. She traveled, performed, and worked closely with people now at the center of major lawsuits. So when her name showed up as a witness in the Cassie case, many assumed she'd have damaging information. But surprisingly, Kenna has said she never saw Diddy abuse anyone. That's where things get complicated. Because while Kenna denies seeing any mistreatment, other former employees, assistants, and artists paint a much darker picture. They talk about emotional abuse, manipulation, hidden cameras, and forced silence. And several of them say there's no way someone that close to the scene didn't notice what was going on. Of course, people's experiences vary. Maybe Kenna was protected. Maybe she didn't witness the worst moments. Or maybe she's staying quiet for reasons we don't yet understand. What's clear is this: her testimony could either support Diddy's defense or unravel it. And depending on how the courts treat her statements, she may become a pivotal figure in what happens next. And speaking of artists caught in the crossfire, let's talk about Diddy's mentees and what they may have seen behind the scenes.
Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
The list of big names tied to Diddy keeps growing, and it gets more complicated with every connection. Take Meek Mill, for example, a figure known for street credibility, prison reform advocacy, and heavy industry ties. But according to multiple insiders, Meek may have unknowingly been recorded at Diddy's infamous parties. Rodney Jones, the same ex-videographer who exposed Diddy's alleged hidden cameras, claimed that several guests, including Meek, were caught on tape during private moments. No one knows exactly what was recorded, but the idea that footage of high-profile guests might be sitting in a vault somewhere has shaken a lot of people in the industry. And then there's Usher. His connection to Diddy goes all the way back to the early 90s, when he attended what's now infamously called Flavor Camp. It was supposed to be a mentorship program for young talent, but years later, Usher hinted that it wasn't just about music. He said it bluntly: if he had kids, he wouldn't send them there. That statement alone raised eyebrows. But Usher didn't just experience Diddy's world. He opened the door for someone else to walk in. Justin Bieber. At just 14 years old, Bieber was invited to spend 48 hours at Diddy's mansion. On the surface, it looked like a huge opportunity. A rising pop star getting one-on-one time with one of the most powerful names in music. But now, with so many allegations tied to those same parties, people are wondering, what actually happened during that weekend? There's no clear answer. Bieber never spoke in detail about his time with Diddy, but fans have pointed to moments in his music and interviews where he seemed anxious when that time in his life came up. Others have speculated that industry pressure and early fame may have forced him to grow up too fast. Whether those 48 hours were harmless or a wake-up call, one thing's clear: Usher regrets sending him there. And what exactly happened during those mysterious 48 hours Bieber spent at Diddy's mansion at just 14? The music may hold clues.
Wendy Williams, radio personality, TV personality, Wendy Williams, was announcing in her super highly rated afternoon show that might have been even syndicated then, that she had big news coming that involved Justin Dior Combs. Perked my ear up. I said, yo, what's going on? We started calling everybody. He was calling me. He got a heads up. He started calling the bosses at Hot 97. The street team was listening. They heard. The executives heard. We instantly all left the office, 19th Street, some in cabs, some in cars, some running all the way down to Hudson Street where Hot 97 was to get down there just to handle the situation and make sure that that picture was not exposed to the masses and was not delivered through Wendy Williams.
Wendy Williams made a career off calling out the rich and powerful. Her fearless energy made her a daytime TV staple. But something shifted when it came to Diddy. On air, Wendy used to drop hints about Diddy's personal life, his parties, and his rumored influence in the music world. But fans noticed something odd. Every time Diddy's name came up, Wendy's tone changed. She stuttered. She laughed nervously. And then, she stopped talking about him altogether. After one particularly bold statement, where she suggested Diddy was hiding something big, her show started facing unexplained delays and sudden format changes. Eventually, it was canceled. Around the same time, stories about her health and memory started popping up. Some legit, others clearly designed to discredit her. Whether Diddy played a part in her downfall is unclear, but the timing and the pattern match what many other whistleblowers have faced. Silence followed by consequences. But one person who isn't scared to talk is 50 Cent.
I haven't had issues with Puff where I don't like him like that. Like, I don't like things that he would do.
Right.
And make me uncomfortable.
So we're speaking on Diddy, we're speaking on Puff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't have that thing where I we ain't had no thing. I wasn't sending nothing at him, big. If it was on the street side like that, we would be actively doing things to each other. Right. And we wasn't doing that. Right? So it gets to, with Jay, definitely not that. That's definitely not. It's just being competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I look at it, I go, whoa. So I always go into what would I do in a situation like when that type of thing happens. And I'm going, I don't know. I hope things are all right for him internally.
Speaking on?
I mean, at the crib. Because in the statement they mentioned his
you talking Jay?
His daughter
Gotcha.
would being old enough to, because she about 13.
Right.
So it's the same age as his kid.
Unlike Wendy, 50 Cent has never been one to hold back. And when Diddy was arrested, 50 went straight to work. He revived a documentary he had reportedly been working on for nearly a decade, Diddy Do It, and started teasing clips on social media. The timing couldn't have been sharper. As lawsuits flooded in and old associates flipped, 50's project gained momentum. Within days, his teaser posts had millions of views, with fans demanding a full release. And now, streaming giants are circling, with Netflix reportedly leading the charge to secure the doc. But this isn't just some personal beef. 50 Cent is using real footage, court documents, and eyewitness interviews. He claims he's not doing it out of revenge, but to tell the story no one else will. And it's working. The buzz is huge, and industry insiders say the documentary could become one of the most watched exposés in entertainment history. And it all started unraveling when Cassie Ventura finally broke her silence. Cassie Ventura's case didn't just make headlines, it kicked open the doors of an industry built on secrecy. She wasn't just accusing Diddy of being a controlling ex. She accused him of abuse, and manipulating her for years. The lawsuit detailed disturbing allegations, from forced encounters to being videotaped without consent. It was graphic, specific, and damning. What made it even more shocking was how fast it moved. Within just 24 hours of filing, the case was reportedly settled for a rumored $100 million. That kind of speed and that kind of money made people sit up. Was it a payout to protect reputations? Or was it an admission without saying the words out loud? But Cassie didn't stop there. Leaked footage began surfacing soon after. Videos that appeared to back up parts of her claims. Hotel surveillance, uncomfortable interactions, and moments that painted a very different picture of Diddy than the polished mogul we're used to seeing. Suddenly, more people started coming forward. Women, former employees, industry insiders. They all had stories that echoed the same themes: control, secrecy, and consequences for speaking out. And it all started with Cassie having the courage to say something. But how deep does the rabbit hole go? When Oprah's name enters the chat, you start to realize it might be deeper than anyone imagined.
P. Diddy has a buddy of his that he's been producing music with for a while, and that buddy rubbed shoulders consistently with Epstein. Consistently. So, Oprah supposedly is on that list in a hidden way because Oprah has bumped shoulders numerous times with Epstein, numerous times with Harvey Weinstein, numerous times with well-known pedophiles, and she is frequently seen with P. Diddy.
Oprah Winfrey has built her brand on empowerment. She's the voice of healing, the face of trauma recovery. But even her name isn't free from controversy. She's been seen attending Diddy's parties. Not just one or two. She's been connected to several high-profile gatherings over the years. That alone doesn't mean guilt. But when you pair that with her past public support of men like Harvey Weinstein and Russell Simmons, people start to question. Weinstein was even invited on Oprah's stage. And with Simmons, she initially worked on a documentary about abuse in the music industry, only to later step away from the project under pressure. Critics ask, if you really want to expose abuse, why back off when the names get too big? These aren't simple questions, but they're worth asking. Because if someone like Oprah, arguably the most powerful woman in media, can't separate herself from this web, what does that say about how deep it goes? Eminem and Kanye West certainly had thoughts, and they didn't hold back.
Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these all you fake hard you. Hold on. Okay. All you fake hard you.
Eminem has always used his lyrics to speak what others are too afraid to say. And he's dropped lines over the years that suggest he believes Diddy knew more about Biggie and Tupac's deaths than he ever admitted. In one verse, he called out shady industry deals and even hinted at knowing where bodies were buried, literally and figuratively. Now, that doesn't mean M has proof. But in hip-hop, coded lyrics have long been used to reveal truths too dangerous to say outright. And Eminem's tone has always carried a sense of warning when it comes to certain power players, Diddy included. Then there's Kanye. Unlike Eminem, didn't say much, but his silence speaks volumes. Kanye never showed up to Diddy's wild parties, never posted photos, never got cozy with the bad boy inner circle. That's rare for someone of his status, especially early in his career, when everyone wanted Diddy's cosign. Instead, Kanye kept his distance. And now, people are looking back at that choice differently. It's not that Kanye was trying to expose anything, he just never seemed comfortable playing that game. And in an industry built on relationships, that kind of quiet refusal sends a loud message. And the story doesn't end there, because Diddy's list of protégés includes people who may have seen more than they bargained for. From secret recordings to exclusive parties, from famous moguls to spiritual leaders, the network around Diddy is far bigger and darker than most ever imagined. What Eddie Griffin revealed might just be the tip of the iceberg, leaving plenty still hidden beneath the surface. So was this all just the way Hollywood does business? Or is there something deeper and more troubling at play? Tell us what you think in the comments. And if you know a name we didn't mention, share it below. Because this story isn't over yet.